Hello, and welcome to Tech Latest by Nikkei Asia, where we bring you the freshest updates from the technology sector in Asia. Every episode, one of our reporters from the region will be filling us in on the tech news on their radar, from semiconductors in China to space travel in Japan to startups in Indonesia. From Nikkei Asia's Tokyo headquarters, I'm Alice French. In this episode, my colleague Jaden Agamore is talking to Taipei tech correspondents Annie Chengting Fang and Lawley Lee about their recent trip to Barcelona in Spain for the Mobile World Congress.
Hi, Annie. Hi, Lolly. Great to have you both on the pod.
Thanks for having us.
So you two were recently in Barcelona to attend the 2024 Mobile World Congress, where I imagine you were able to witness some of the latest innovations and leading-edge technology. How was it? Can you share your impressions of the event?
Sure. I would say most people I met at the MWC told me that this year it's many more people coming back to the show. It was lovely weather in Barcelona too, warm and sunny, not too cold. And I basically went to most of the major chip makers and the big tech companies from Qualcomm, Intel, MediaTek, Marvell, Huawei to NEC, and also some startups. Meanwhile, smartphone makers, definitely you can find China's Honor made a big bet during the MWC as they are hoping to grow their overseas business. So they set their booth at the Hall 3, the center of the show. And you can also see Xiaomi is bringing its car to the overseas market for the first time. Also, I hope to mention Huawei. They are still having a very big presence at the MWC, unveiling its AI large model for its flagship telecom business, and pushing 5.5G gears, and seeing some European nations and the Middle East are still more eager to adapt the most advanced equipment. Also, Huawei also pledged not to give up on bringing more devices from wearables to phones to the overseas market, despite U.S. export controls. And I think Lawley went to a lot of gear makers from HP to Dell to Microsoft.
So actually, I talked to Microsoft, HP, and Dell, which are the two of the world's largest server makers. And one of the common things that these three companies talk about this year, first of all, AI, of course. Another thing is that they all feel that this year is finally the year when the Open RAN thing, the adoption of Open RAN is finally picking up. What is Open RAN? RAN, Radio Access Network, is a very crucial part of building a telecom infrastructure. And before 5G technologies, RAN as well as core network, they are all provided by a single vendor by a handful of telecom equipment makers in the world, such as Huawei, Ericsson, or Nokia. But with 5G, the openness of the infrastructure gives a window of opportunities for non-traditional telecom equipment suppliers to tap into this telecom industry. So people like Microsoft, HP, and Dell, they finally have more presence and more chances to, expand their presence in the telecom industry. And this year, after 4 or 5 years of 5G adoption, this year they all said that because of AI, they saw this acceleration of adoptness of Open RAN into the market. For example, AT&T, US largest telecom operator, at the end of last year, signed a very big deal with Ericsson and asking Ericsson to build a 5G Open RAN network across the nation. And so Dell is also a big partner to AT&T's deal in the US market.
I see. Those are really big names from Huawei to Microsoft and Dell. It sounds like you both made the most out of your trip and enjoyed it very much. I'd really like to know what stuck out the most at the exhibition. What were some of the most memorable things you saw or heard?
Hi, Jeda, it's me, Annie. AI is definitely the most important topic. Every chip makers and device makers are looking to see how to put or leverage generative AI on devices. Last year, they were demoing some simple features on device like text-to-image generations, leveraging stable diffusion, or a small human-machine live conversations via text. This year, you can see some small features that I demoed last year already being put on smartphones and other devices. For example, some smartphone makers demo Magic Eraser to help users reconstruct photos and delete places they don't want, or intent-based AI that can learn how people use smartphones and shorten users' time to do search and navigation or create calendar entries. But this is still the beginning. The Qualcomm SVP and AI development chief Durga Maladi told Nikkei Asia, now the industry is just the beginning. It's not only working on only text or images. They hope to link more type of large multi-model together to converge text, images to voice inputs will all become very important. For instance, you can now interact with machine about images, or a machine can now make reasoning of voice inputs or leverage voice to help you do researches in or searches or solve problems in cloud. All these could converge to make more creative features in the future. Also, chip makers are exploring text to video possibilities as well. So in the future, more computing power is needed.
Want to add a point that Annie and I, we actually did an interview story with Intel during MWC, and very interesting that Intel said that it aims to provide a core processor for up to 100 million AI-enabled PCs by 2025. And what is AI PC? Intel said that it is co-defined with Microsoft, that it must use Intel's core processor, and it must have Microsoft's Copilot, the AI assistant, and it also must have the designated key, Copilot key on the keyboard. And this AI PC can do a lot of like ChatGPT functions. For example, you can just easily to tap on the Copilot key and then to call on the Copilot assistant to help you do a lot of research and instant like, for example, you want to have a recipe to make waffles, and it can immediately show you the recipe. And you also have some video conferencing, a new function. For example, when you are in a webinar and you want to look at your screen to check your script, and then the AI function can actually help you to, to adjust your gaze, to make sure that your gaze is always on the center of the camera, so the audience wouldn't know that you're actually looking at your script.
Wow, those are some really interesting functions, especially the magic erasers. You spoke with a lot of key figures, I imagine, and can't help but think that the US-China tech war, as well as the slowdown of the Chinese economy and developments surrounding AI regulation must have been major topics of conversation. What are people saying? Did you get a sense of optimism among executives, or are many of them concerned about the future?
Hi, Jada, this is Annie. I met a friend working at a Chinese chip maker. He told me most of its peers and even customers hope to venture overseas for more business. They, of course, still concerned about Chinese own economy. They call it 卷 or 内卷, meaning the competition in the domestic market is very fierce. And the price war there is like really ferocious. So they hope to explore overseas markets such as Europe, Latin America, Middle East, as well as Southeast Asia for growth drivers. So he told me next year they would build more meeting rooms at their booth, because even their Chinese customer executives who don't have booths hope to lend the space to talk to foreign customers. So actually, I find this sense of urgency that Chinese players hope to venture overseas, and they find markets still very big beyond the US, and they find overseas project can earn more profits. In another example, China's top voice recognition tech company, iFlyTech, also come to MWC for the first time, as they also expanding their overseas market. Also, Jada, I want to add that we don't really feel huge US-China tension or clashes here in Europe. I think Europe and the rest of the world are still relatively open to do business with Chinese companies, and that's why they are here. I think you mentioned a little bit about AI regulations. I know EU just introducing some form of regulation that will go into effect later. Government agencies and officials are aware of the risk of AI could bring to privacy, human rights, and work and jobs. But in the tech world, people actually are still exploring what AI can do. So we don't see the regulatory issue from the device or chip maker's side being picking up, but from the government side, it will be emerging.
So I guess we will have to keep a close eye on how that changes in the near future, I guess. Well, thank you so much, Annie and Lolly. I really appreciate y'all coming on and hope to speak with you again soon.
Thank you very much, Jada, for having me. Bye-bye and see you next time.
Thank you, Jada. Hope to speak to you again soon.
That's all for this episode. You can read more of Annie and Lolly's reporting, along with a host of other stories about Asia's tech industry, on Nikkei Asia's website, asia.nikkei.com. And if you like what you hear, why not subscribe to our weekly Tech Asia newsletter, which will be delivered to your inbox every Thursday. There's a link to sign up in the show notes. And whilst we've still got you, if you're enjoying Tech Latest and would like to support us, please do give us a follow on whichever podcast platform you use. We also really appreciate any reviews you can leave, as these help new listeners to find our episodes. Our next instalment will be released on Tuesday, the 11th of March. Check back in then for more updates on the tech trends that matter.